into account of the history of this country for you to give such a lengthy discourse in an attempt to set the record straight. We want you to understand that whatever question we give you here is not intended to entrap, incriminate, or discredit you, but to add more laurels to the justifications that you have given. So in this light, we hope you will receive our questions in good faith, as we will be given in good faith. Can you tell the Commission how long you served as Minister of Justice during the PRC government?
I served as Minister of Justice. I was appointed on the day of April 12, 1980 as Minister of Justice. I think I started my service in the office here on Ashmont Street, April 13. The following day I went to work. I left the Minister of Justice in 1981. So that what? 80 to 81 August. April 1980 to 1981 August, I left the job.
As Minister of Justice,
yes,
you serve as the Chief Legal Advisor to the government.
Yes.
Can you tell us what was your role during the period you served as Minister of Justice in writing, codifying decrees that were issued by the PRC?
Well, the People Redemption Council was set up just like the legislature. They had people there, and what they did, even though they removed the top brass of the True Whig Party, but the True Whig Party's power structure, their offices, their personnel, everything was still in place. So the People Redemption Council being, the legislature, they had people there who were drafters, who drafted their bills and so forth and so on security matters, on matters affecting cabinet ministers and things. They will consult me, and I will take part. But drafting the things that the People Redemption Council did, I took part, and they asked me to draft a decree. I went to the place named the People Redemption Council, and we worked together. I don't quite remember now who are the people that were there, and we drafted the decree for the decree number 1. We took part. I did take part in drafting it.
And who was responsible for the enforcement of those decrees?
No, I was. The army was responsible to enforce it, because when that decree was written, we gave it a levy with the council. They adopted it as a law, and they enforced it. The DP called for rampant corruption, abuse of power, and many other things. I don't all recall what was in there in the decree. but it was a decree charging people for mismanagement of the Liberian government and so forth.
In your opening statement, you said it has always been your endeavor to promote justice and democracy. Since you are not wholly and solely responsible for the drafting, codification, and implementation of these decrees, you will agree with me that there were famous decrees issued by the PRC. What effort did you make in order to justify your commitment to the promotion of democracy and justice in the correction of some of those decrees that tend to violate the rights of people?
Well, I did much. That's why I didn't stay long there. I assisted in writing the decree number 1. I leveled the People Redemption Council. They decided to enforce it the way they want. When I heard, I came from lunch, as I said, at the Justice Department right down the road, and Aaron told me that they were executing people. I took my car and I went to the mansion. And I asked Samuel K. Doe, I said, "But Chief, why are you putting people on the fire? You're shooting people and this and that. If we don't shoot people, if we won't kill people yet, they go take you to court and they try you and they hang you, but people don't shoot people." He said, "But if people were soldiers." So I said, "Well, Chief, it will be how the international community will be upon also for you to be shooting the people like this." He said, "Okay, so I can't do anything. I'll go to the People Redemption Council. They won't pass the law." I went to the temple, to the, what the place in the capital. The PRC people house, scattered. I couldn't find where saying, I couldn't find podium. While I was doing that, they were doing the execution. So my advisor didn't have any time to filter in. They were doing it already before they told me. They do have now even, the law provide for the setting up of a court-martial board. There's a board there for the army. So when an army official or member commit a crime, he's not judged in the regular courts. They are judged by the court-martial board under the Military Code of Justice. And these people that were shot, Neil, Talbot, all the government officials, mostly ministers that were shot on that day, they were all made army officers. Most of them were generals and so forth and so on. That's why they say they tried them under the Military Code of Justice. So they were tried at the barracks. There's a recent video on that. You will see Jackson Doe from Nimba County talking. And you will see on the podium, there's a man there called Coleman. Coleman was the lawyer for the judge advocate in the Liberian National Army. And the first chairman of the court-martial board at the time was one old man, Flomo, from
no, Sampani, French Sampani.
No, it was Flomo first. No, they were member. Flomo was the first chairman of the tribunal.
Alfred Flomo?
Alfred Flomo. From there, then Sekpene, then Alfred Guilford was member. That's how they judge the people in the barrack there. Through their court-martial judge advocate, who was a lawyer, Mr. If you look on the video, the present video circulating now, you will see Coleman, and you will see them there sitting. And you will see them asking, Coleman asking questions to Jackson Doe. I did not take part in it.
As a professional lawyer and a practitioner want to, we know you are aware Louis Attogran observations, opinions, reservations on national issue that had been compiled and put into document. And we believe that was done because no condition, no time is permanent. Did you reduce your opinions, reservations, and disagreements on some of these events into writing in order so at this time or at appropriate time history will judge you better? Did you do so?
Well, the time I took office, during the time in which I worked in Liberia, it was a crisis period. I had my own file, my own personal file where I kept letters and I kept other things. But I didn't chronologically document events or make historical record of what occurred. But the government, mostly the PRC decision was made on radio. We had a walkie-talkie. That's how they ran the government. They will call you on the radio. They will not write a letter. They will say, we want you to go, send people to go arrest this person on radio. You hear the voice of the person. So you go and arrest the person. Then they will tell you the person, he did so, or he did, if it's a soldier, maybe he raped or he stole somebody's money or he killed somebody. And we will investigate the man, but it will be done. The investigation will be done with police, so police have the record. And somebody they send report, it will be in the Justice Department. I did not collect those informations and pile them up, except for things I wanted to document on my own. Maybe if I write letter, this and that and so forth. I still have my resignation letter when I resigned as Minister of Justice. I had a file, my file that I had. But when I traveled, during the war, I came back 2003. Different people were in my, Prince Johnson and his people, they ransacked my house and they were living there. Even my diploma, my law degree got lost. I don't see it. So I did have some record, but I can't lay hand on it now. I lost it during the war.
In your general discourse, you told the commission that your secretariat informed you that executions were going on, and that by the time you took your walkie-talkies to find out 4 persons had been executed already. Are these 4 persons among the 13 that were executed, or that was different group of people?
No, that's the same group. They said they had just executed 4 people when I went to the mansion. And Chairman Doe told me there was not a decision that he made alone. So I should go see Western and members of the People Redemption Council. But when I got, as I said, in the capital, nobody was there. Apparently, all of them were on the field to the barrack doing their thing. I did not go to the barrack. I just came back to my office and tried to talk on the radio. I called the CIC several times. I called Kumukpa, who was commanding general, and there was no response. The only person who responded to me was Abraham Colley, the fellow from there. He said, well, where he was, he couldn't leave. So I was not able to get the PRC members. But while I was doing that, they were basically killing the people. So I didn't get any resolution to the problem.
In your general testimony, you said the late President Turbo was killed unnecessarily. And of course, you did not see the reason why the son was also killed. But can you remember when 3 presidents in West Africa came to talk to the PRC on behalf of the AB Togo. And when they left unsuccessfully, you were heard on the air saying this government, PRC, meaning PRC government, is a government of action, not of dialogue. Do you remember that?
Not of what?
Action, not dialogue.
Well, I don't know if I said that in reference of their coming and talking with the government. Maybe I have made it. Many times I made something on in the government statements and so forth. I don't know in what particular instance. Maybe I have said it. But if you have the record, okay. Or the clipping, since it was on the radio. Otherwise, I cannot really recollect, but I could have made a statement, but it probably was in different, had to do with different things, and not so much of the people coming and talking with Tobo, talking with the People Redemption Council. And when Tobo, A.B. Tobo was killed, I went to Do. I told him, God be my helper, that we can't be killing people like chicken. Because when I told you that day that you put all the people on firing squad, you're killing them, the international community will not agree. Directly after they had that execution, the next morning, you go on the Justice Department step, you saw long radiogram. They sent radiogram to every PRC member, sent it to the Minister of Justice. They were piled up on the mansion. Many telegrams condemning the killing. And I told Doe that was going to happen. But he didn't listen to me. He said that was not only his decision, it was the decision of the People Redemption Council. So from the beginning, from the get-go, I didn't think that that kind of killing was right. So I made them know this. And I didn't think that that statement I made was in reference of defense of or against Mr. Tobo. I don't think I would have made that something. Maybe I made it in another context, Mr. Commissioner.
You also mentioned that in addition to the economic condition of our people, for which you people protested, PAR or PPP protested against the increase of the price of rice, was that Tobo himself was a major importer and distributor of rice. After the PRC took over and being Minister of Justice, did you make any effort to ascertain the truthfulness or the falsehood of this allegation?
Well, I told you I ran as a senator. Tobo was truly a business, because he even had a store in Bento when you were president. So I didn't really doubt that the fact that he's a businessman, he was distributing rice. I didn't doubt it. Right now, they even tell us the rice that is being bought by Liberian when they took it from the Lebanese man, the government official in this government, they are the ones selling the rice. So I didn't doubt it.
You also said that the coup was planned and staged by 7 persons. Can you name these people if you know?
Wow.
These 7 persons?
When the coup occurred, I had not seen Doe before, and I have not seen any of these people. Only the soldiers that we saw, were the people who were beating us in Postake. And I didn't see any of them, during when the people government was going on. I can't recognize them. But working with the PRC government, I do know, after I got to be their Minister of Justice, I know Doe, I did know the chairman, who is Mr. Wesen. I know Podia, who's the speaker. I got to know rather. I didn't know them before. I didn't know Doe. I didn't know all these people. And these were relatively young people. I knew Arian Kwali, as I said. He was Secretary General. Then I knew the first Secretary General who killed himself in an accident. He was a Gisi man. Father Bane. That's right, Father Dabane. I knew him. We worked together, Mr. Commissioner, so I got to know them. But the relationship between us was superior and what you call subordinate. The fact that they were army official and member of the Supreme Redemption Council, and I was just an appointed minister, so there was a gap between that. You asked them to do something, but you couldn't order them to do it. They'd rather order you to do something.
Immediately after the April 12 coup, one of the informations that were circulating around were that the True Whig Party government, particularly the late President Torval and the 13 men that were executed, had their banking accounts outside Liberia. They have taken all the monies in Liberia to those areas, to those accounts. And your general testimony, you may mention that they build their banks abroad in Swiss bank, thereby depriving the Liberian people of their resources. After taking over as Minister of Justice, what effort did you make to get the facts of this matter in order to retrieve some of these monies for the interests of the nation?
Well, what I did was, and I did that later on, we didn't do that immediately. Because mainly at the time when we took over, I was more overly concerned with security, where all the soldiers thinking they can do anything they want to do. So I wasted my time. I didn't attend much conferences abroad. My deputies then used to go abroad. But later did, we went, especially for Torval, to look for it, because I think that matter came about when the chemical bank, after the coup, the bank I used to call Bank of Liberia, where the National Bank is now. They were run by the Rubio Horton family. But they had another bank called Chemical Bank, which was a foreign bank. They had their money in there. So later on, we went there, and the Chemical Bank told us that the deposit that Torval has is in America. So the People Redemption Council sent me there. I went to New York. That's where I met Mr. What is his fellow name, who was working with Taylor, Attorney General. He was the Minister of Labor in the last government. Lafala. Huh? Lafala, eh? Superwood. Lafala Superwood. I met him at that time. We talked to the chemical banks in New York. They said, no, Torval did not save his money there. Torval has his money at the Bahamas. So I sent one deputy minister, who is Mr. Brown. Met him in the office and we made him deputy minister. He went with me that time. And they went to the Bahamas. And the people said the only money they had there was only $1 million for Torval. And then if there's any money, they say no, the money was in the escrow, unless we can bring document where Torval willed the money to the government. But they were not going to give his personal money. So we didn't get that money. We left it there. I remember during the war, one of Torval's children came to me. I was leaving to Capital Bypass here and asked me, Mr. Cheapoo, you know, you the one went looking for my father's fortune. do you know where some of the money is? I laughed. I said, well, you're supposed to know where your father's money is. They ain't get no paper for that. I said, no, we went to the Bahamas and we got $1 million there, but they couldn't give it us because it was in President Torbo's name personally as an individual, and they didn't give it to us. He said, yeah, we got that $1 million, but there are other monies. I said, I don't know about it. So that's how far I know about their money.
You also said that it has been your policy not to expose people, but to disassociate yourself when they are doing wrong thing. What does it signify? If someone does wrong and is not brought before justice, what do you look at that?
Well, Mr. Commissioner, I said that in a context that I don't like to lay in wait and plan with people to do wrong. I let people use their own mind to be their own judges. If I don't like something that you are doing and you have asked me to participate, I will not bother to participate, but I leave it with you and your conscience, and the Lord will take care of you if you are ever found. I won't be the one to go around reporting you, say, I see the man steal $5. Listen, I don't do that.
It has been recommended that April 14, 1979 rice episode should not be referred to as riots, but should be given a nomenclature that befits it. In your testimony, you say you did not take part into that riot. What does it signify? Is it that you are conscientiously convinced that it was riot, or what recommendation do you have that should be a name suitable for that occasion?
Well, you know, I am not worried about the nomenclature of whether riot or a peaceful march. But I think I said that I legally advised the Progressive People's Party that it was all right for them to make a peaceful march to register our dissent from the decision of President Torbo not to do something about decreasing the price of rice, especially since he knew that he was the distributor. And the reason I made that decision is because I felt that as a president, he's a public servant. He should be suffering for the country he leads. If there are any problem, he's not able to make profit on the people. He's supposed to be the one to relieve the people of their miseries and burdens. He shouldn't be the one to increase it for self-profit. With that approbation, I told my members that it was all right to have a peaceful march. And if I have to do it again, I will do the same thing. I don't regret.
In your testimony, you talk about a lies.
Excuse me, sir. And so it was not a riot, it was a peaceful march. And let me define riot, sir, for this commission. There's a legal definition for that. A riot is a protest, hostile protest. Let me tell you, you got a police officer. Hostile protest made against the public in dissent of government decision or political decision. And it is made in a fashion that is not only to send a message, but to disrupt and cause crime to be committed in the community, such as burning houses, breaking in people's stores, committing theft and stealing. If the marchers involved in that, then of course that's a riot in protest to government decision. But citizens under the Constitution of Liberia, even the one now, have a right to have a peaceful march, to register their complaint before their leaders. That's what PAR did, and that's what I advised them to do. So it is not riot, it was a peaceful march. But the belligerent party was the police, the government. They saw young children coming and marching, then they will just open fire on them and kill innocent people who are not even in the march, sitting on their porches. They got killed. That was irresponsible. Then you say that riot? It's not riot. If that a riot, then why the president did not call for an investigation to see really whether it was a riot? They just dubbed it as a riot, but it was not a riot. They threw the first stone by killing people. So that's the difference. It's not riot, it's a peaceful march. And if I had anything to do with the PPP, I'll tell them to do it now, this morning.
In your testimony, telling the commission of your own background, you made us to understand that your grandfather was a warrior, and that the last war that was the last tribal war that was fought, your grandfather brought the other tribe warrior, which has having to be someone related, I mean from your mother's side, was killed. Can you tell us, because we have traveled throughout the land and the birth of this country, and some of these past wars, I still vividly remember by some of the victims. Can you tell us what this last war was about?
The last war, well, let me make a clarification. I do not know whether in fact the man that was killed, the hero, was related to my mother. But he came from my mother, member of my mother's tribe, the Glaro. Okay. The Glaro tribe next to us. I think we met them there when we traveled, when our people came from the Savannah Interior Mission. Asonro Pampiti, Apeduo, play at Nongbo. Meaning the history now, oral history. When we travel from Nigeria area, we came from the Savannah. You know, ELWA used to talk about the Savannah Interior Mission. There's some kind of Savannah there, I think it has to do with the Niger River, where there's a flat land and it has a whole lot of swamps and so forth. When the people traveled from East Africa, from the last kingdom, they came down this way. Nobody was here, they were here. So they came, we met the Glaro people, but they were behind the Dubai River. But they enslaved us. They hired a man they call Sedi. Sedi enslaved our people. And one fellow called Nyepoji, he released them because what he used to do when we go make rice farm for them, we dig the trees, we don't cut it down. He used to dig all the stumps and make a rice farm. So this child is an upstart young man. He used to take, and they don't feed you. You have to take food from Kiteabo to carry to Glaro when you're working there. So this boy carried food to his father. And he met them working, digging the big trees. You just imagine digging trees in Grand Gedeh, in Gedeh County, in that Grebo forest. So Nyopoji told the people, they might not do it. He said, Papa, what are you doing? He said, but he said, and we don't cut tree, we put raft there, we cut the tree. If it's too big down here, we cut it up there. How are you digging it? He said, yeah, that's what we do here. The man said, we must dig all the trees before they make the farm. So he said, I might not dig it. So he took and made a raft and started cutting the tree. While he was cutting it, then the man came. Gwalo Sei, his name was Gwalo Sei. Gwalo Sei came and said, what? Who's that? He said that one boy came, he the one cutting the tree. And people told him not to cut the tree. So he cut the tree, so then they said, man, they come down. So he came down from the tree. He said, well, you yourself, you know, you can't be digging trees. First thing, it wastes time. We always cut trees in our home, so why are the people digging the trees? So he said, all right, you will be the leader of your people, carry them, you're free. That's how we got freed. But he was not a relative of mine. In the war, and so we always had conflict of land business. I agree with you, the war is still a history. I doubt it. The war that my grandfather fought, that somebody will be there now. They know the history the way I know it, but I don't think anybody is there in my home. I'm not doubting it, but in my section, no. So we always have this warfare for land. The rift for land is still there.
So, accepting what you have said, what effort have you, the generation of the intellectuals of your community, have made to heal the wounds of the past, reconcile the differences, and make sure that it's never repeated?
Well, what I did was I surveyed the Kiteabo people land. I surveyed 35,000 acres. They were also still involved when I was a child in about people coming. I told you they got bigger tribes with more population surrounding them. But as a small tribe, they got a vast territory. But then when the government came and tribal war was, were not tolerated, they always used to make complaint to government about people going on their land and making farm. And at that time, I was in Pleebo, and the man who was advocating for the Kiteabo tribe named Old Man Dadia. I happened to be his interpreter. They used to hire A. Wilson, the former Chief Justice of Liberia, to be their lawyer. In Sorokan, Pleebo, he has a rubber farm there. So we used to leave. When the old man come from up country, I will leave and then go to Sorokan. When he now in Kiteabo on the farm, we'll go there and I will do the interpretation. And I remember that Wilson telling the old man, all the land for government, enough for you. If you want land, you gotta have deed for your land. So old man Daddy asked, how do we get the land? He said, you gotta buy it from government. So he said, we don't have any money. So old man Daddy, that time he was senator. Dash Wilson was senator from Maryland County. He said, the way to do it is to buy. But since he said, you don't got money, I extended my rubber farm in here in Sorokan. And you see the people cutting the bush there. If the Kiteabo tribe will come and cut my bush and plant the rubber, I will get the deed. So that Wilson did get the deed. I made the interpretation. That time I was a little boy in Pleebo going to school. But for some reason I was always able to speak English because I know how to talk. So I was the interpreter. That Wilson got the deed. But the Kiteabo people never wanted to make the farm. So he kept the deed. When I came from school and went to Dad Wilson, who was now Chief Justice, and he gave me a letter to go to Roderick Lewis to be a mater in the bar, I asked him when I was leaving the office whether or not he had was about the land for Kiteabo people. And this is what he said. I'll be done, I'll get them the deed. Unless they reimburse me for making the farm, I will not get them any deed. I went and told the Kiteabo people, $175,000 we pay for that deed. He said it was the price for extending his own farm that we made promise to extend by our labor. We didn't do it. So I got my wife, I told you, we borrowed the money from my father-in-law in America, and we get the money, So the bargain was, you gave me the land, you gave me the deed, you gave me the money, I gave you the deed. So I brought the deed and came to Kiteabo. So what I did after school, because I knew the way to own land is to have a deed for it. So I got the deed, now the Kiteabo people got it. They are the only one there now that got 35,000 acres of their own deed near the National Global Forest. That's what I did when I left school.
Is this deed in the name of your tribal people?
Yeah.
Or in your name?
No, it can't be. I was there before they put in my name.
I'm asking this question because
it's in the name, sir. Sir Commissioner, it's in the name of the Kiteabo chiefdom.
Okay.
It's not in my name.
I'm asking this question because when we visited River G, I don't know whether they were you from.
Yeah, I'm from River G. I'm from a place called Kiteabo.
We
call it River Gedeh now.
We went to River Gedeh. There was some company there. I think lodging company.
Yeah.
And your name came out there when they said that you was claiming the land to be yours personal land that you acquire deed for it. And if this is an allegation, what is your view about it? Now you are saying it's in the name of the chieftain.
I can bring the deed, copy of the deed to the commission. I get it right here on Central Street in my office.
Thank you.
And the deed is in the name. The Dutch Wilson got that deed. I mean, who make it to put my name there? Dutch Wilson, former Chief Justice of Liberia. He was a lawyer for Kiteabo people. He made a deed. I was not there. I didn't know. The deed is in the name of Kiteabo people. But we gave them $175,000 for us to get the land from Dutch Wilson. And they said they didn't have any money. I'm going to get a company or any individual who will redeem the deed from Dutch Wilson. And that individual will eat as long as they eat on the land. And that person will be the one to manage the land. So I told my American wife to give me the money. We credited from my father-in-law. We paid the money to Dutch Wilson. He gave us the deed. And I came to Kiteabo and gave it to them. Later on, they told me I'm going to keep the deed because the deed was in handwriting. The only thing that was wrong with it was that when we left it there with the elders then, water ran on it. So in that meeting, public meeting, elders meeting, they told me to keep the deed. So I brought it to Monrovia. I still have it at the house. Then, since they say the person who get the deed, he will eat as long as we eat, and he will be the manager, and we got the money and they're able to pay us. So we drafted a trust agreement. So the Kiteabo land is on a trust. It's owned by the Kiteabo people, but it's on a trust in the name of the company that borrowed the money from my father-in-law, Gedeh Development Corporation, GEDECO. They are the trustee of that land. I happen to be the executive director of GEDECO. So, excuse me, sir.
Can we then conclude?
Excuse me, sir. Let me exhaust my...
Silence, please. Can we then conclude?
Excuse me, sir. Commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to cut you off. I want to exhaust people laughing. I don't know on what perspective. But this is what happened. This is business. It had nothing to do with no indigenous tribal thing. I told you my grandfather fought for the land. I bought it for them. But I bought it so that I can benefit too. We wrote that contract. The contract is still binding, probated and registered according to law. But while I'm in Monrovia involved in politics and government, they will go to that very company and take money from there without any regard to the trustees. So up to now, they have not paid me. I have not eaten the way they are eating. And so there is a great confusion. Few days ago, they got one, when they're doing something, they don't contact the trustee. And when you put something in trust, It is there to manage by the trustee. You can't go there by yourself. So Kiteabo think, no, the land is for them in their chief donning, so they can just walk there, go to the company, get the money. And the Lebanese people knew by working with the illiterate people, they can take our money. 60,000 cubic meter of log was cut during the war. We don't know what happened. That's $3 million. We don't know what happened to that pay. But they've been going there and borrowing money, no documentation, no anything. So the problem we are having now, or if I borrow, I survey the land, slept in the bush three months. The surveyor I got in Monrovia asked for pay. So they charge us, I think, $50 per acre. If you multiply that by 35,000 acres, that will give you another $175,000. They owe that money, and they owe the original price for redempting the deed. They're not paying it, they're just eating the money. Even the factory that they left there, I took security here recently after the war and put security there. They went and made a plot, say my security was looting their property. So the superintendent took us from there. Later on, they went and burned the factory. Yeah. Plywood factory for $49 million. They burned it. Yeah, they're my own people, but they are native, me are civilized. So if they don't know how to enjoy civilized property, then of course I have problem with them. So that is the problem there now. I'm not claiming the land, but I'm a trustee. I got my money in it. I survey that land in the bush. I who come from America and educated. I'm Minister of Justice of Liberia. I went in the bush and slept there. And when I went in the bush, you know who went with me? My family members. We couldn't get anybody from the tribe to go there with me. Now time to eat, they eating and I'm not eating. That is the problem.
We are thankful to you for this clarification, and we hope that the controversy surrounding that property, because both conflict analysts and experts have said one of the potential threats in Liberia of our peace, our fledgling peace, is lying.
Yeah.
And we hope as a civilized person, as lawyer, as a statesman, you will take due note of that potentiality so that it will not become a fratricidal war among the same tribe and the same family. Now my final question.
Mr. Commissioner, you can rest assured, Cheapoo will never make war on the Kiteabo people. But what the Kiteabo people owe Cheapoo, if they don't have money, they must call me, come my son, you did something great already. My father-in-law is dead. They didn't give my wife, she didn't benefit from the will. Because they say your husband already borrowed that money, you don't pay. So that's my wife, my American wife, money from she inherited. So I'm not going to pay that money. But the thing here, I will not make war with them. But we will go according to the law. Rights should be put where it belongs. Thank you.
In your dispositions, you said that what has wrong with this nation in the past, before the April 12, during April 12, after April 12, before our civil conflict, during our civil conflict, and after our civil conflict, even up to now, is that we all, both actors of our time and the common people, are all victims of bad system. And you, as an elderly person, there are three kinds of education which you enjoy all. One is formal education. You went to school, you got degree. Two, the second kind of education is traveling. You have traveled the length and breadth of West Africa, Europe, and America. And of course, the third type of education is old age. You enjoy all these three kinds of educations. What recommendation will you make to the Commission to remedy these bias systems so that all of us will be relieved from the victimizations of that system?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Well, this is a drastic disease that will not take simple treatment. The hearts of all the Liberian people, or the majority of them, will have to be committed to modern changes. The idea of love for country and the Christian principles of treating your brother as you would like to be treated in our churches. They preach that every Sunday. We must absorb that Christian principle and live it. We must not be afraid to say the truth, whether it behoves your brother or even your mother. And we must be able, our government must take time to take care of civil servants who serve this government when they are old. The government must be able to take care of its disabled people. In other countries, you say I travel widely, yes. Government provide money for disabled people. They got homes where they live. They do research for curing blindness and other things. If we're not able to do this research because of our history and educational and scientific background, at least we could provide livelihood for those who among us who are not able. This government doesn't even take care of its servants, much more disabled people who have done nothing for them. They don't even look at them. It's a disgrace for you to be born blind here. And it's not the fault of the blind man. He was born blind. That's what God said. So the society he lives in is supposed to be able to build up the courage to help them. I know we don't have all the money, but government can do something to make sure that when a man resigns as Minister of Justice, Chief Justice, or Minister of Finance, who did not steal money, he should be able, as long as he lives, to be able to go to hospital when he's not well and be able to eat. This government doesn't do it. So it's always animosity. That's one of my recommendations. We need to make new laws and find new attitude towards straightening our society. We try to straighten it politically, but what about socially? What about economically? Right now, Liberian, I told them, everybody looking for foreign investors. We got the land, we got the resources, but we say different people must come to do it. When they do it, they take the bulk of the profit, and we don't learn anything from it. So we need to develop our economy ourselves. Government will empower us. We need to change our social system, and government has to be concerned about the future and the welfare of the citizens. When we do that, we will be a very strong country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Councillor Cheapoo, former senator, businessman. First of all, I want to apologize for the spelling of your name. Although I chair historical review, but I just chair it in name yet. But functions, I'm not doing it. You know I will know how to spell your name, Chea Cheapoo. So I hope that you all will take note and gave me my function so I'll be able to spell the other people's name who I know. You spoke straight from the heart. And I hope those who will follow your pattern, most of them will really speak from the heart. In your thoughts here today, you lamented. You lamented until I could see tears in your eyes. And I showed those who in radio land today here in Chea Cheapoo maybe, but they didn't see the tears. I can repeat it. I hope you lamented about Talbot, you lamented about your foster father. You lamented about your people from where you came from. And you lamented about your country people. How you said, they beat us. We did not see one American Liberian out there when they were doing the shooting that killed us. I'm sure you set the record straight from your heart because there were many accusations and people wonder. You said, I did not kill my father. I hope, I'm sure, Celia Una Chessin, Jeff Chessin, Mozart, Yvette, Rodney, Shipelia, Rochelle, Farrelline, Cora, Toss, Jeanette, Wilhelmina, all of Chessin children who name our name, we hear that. And they know within their heart how you feel about the family. It's just unfortunate that the Auntie Francis and Cora, Francis Chessin and Cora Chessin, who you know very well, they're not here, they died. So maybe they died thinking so. But you've cleared the air. That you did not kill your father, you love him. In fact, you wanted to be a lawyer like him. History, only your conscience will judge you. And as historians who have to write, we will write all those quotations you said. I want to ask before going further. You talk about Mara, your wife, the American wife, who helped you, took $175,000 from her illiterate but progressive father in America to help to buy the land. But what the name of that? How you spell your tribe? Claro or Claro?
Yeah, my mother tribe is Glaro, G-L-A-R-R-O.
Okay, yeah, your Claro tribe.
That's my mother's tribe.
Yeah, where is Mara now?
Mara is in the States. Mara said that during the war I had another girl here, so she divorced me. But Mara also had a boyfriend in the church.
How many children did you have? How many children did you have from Mara?
Well, okay, so I regret, that she would divorce me because both are all wrong. Anyway, I didn't want to divorce. I made Mara go ahead in the court in Georgia, and they sent me my divorce 1999 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I signed it, and I divorced her. She divorced me. We divided the property. She took the property in America. I took the one that here, my one house I got here. You asked the question, where is she now?
How many children you have? Where are the children?
We got Chea Jr. We got Dua, my mother's name. My mother's name is Dua.
Please spell it.
D-U-A-H. All right. Then we got Blafleyu.
Spell it, please.
B-L-A-F-L-E-Y-U.
That girl, Paul.
That girl, Blafleyu. That's my father's sister name. Then we have Dongwen.
Please spell it.
D-O-G-W-E-N. D-O-N, Dongwen. D-O-N-G-W-E-N.
That girl, Paul.
That's how I told them. Dongwen is a lady.
Yeah, but I'm from that era. I know, and you know how you say well now. So those spelling of the names, I don't know. So.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. That's why I'm doing it, giving it to you. Dog Wine supposed to be the man, because he's well, high, taller than me, huge.
Oh.
And you see Dog Wine, then you know you see a woman.
I can see, like they say, the biblical thing, when you're a man, you speak like a child, you do like a child, but when you become a man, you turn away childish things.
Yeah.
You've lamented, and from your experiences, good or bad, you've given a lot of advice to the young people here of this country. Even above a party, if you want to party, to be a member of a party, how dedicated and committed you should be. You also talk about morality. You know, to tell them if you got somebody, stay with them, be nice. So, you know, we learn from our past because we are not saints. Secondly, when you were Chief Justice, you talk about in passing, but we're writing history because people want to know how Chea Cheapoo, why he stayed so short. And just like you said you were not corrupt. And it was a matter of corruption, quote, that you resigned. And later they attempted to impeach you. But there was also a situation during the period when you resigned. And you could please clear that off for the record. Your secretary at that time was Esther Parker. You remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
Even though if I see her now, they will have
no, you know she died, right? During the same period of this incident, 2 days after that, Esther Parker's body was found on Cannonsville, the double bridge.
The lady who was my witness.
Yes, she was your witness to the incident, and her body was found 2 days on the double bridge in Cannonsville there.
Yeah.
And it was a big stir up because she was your witness. Can you tell us a little more about the incident? Now that I refresh your memory, even about her death, there was suspicion. Of course, I'm not saying from where, but maybe you may know or the situation, because I think people demonstrated, and because she was your witness, do you think that they were trying to get to your enemies? I mean, were trying to get rid of her for the evidence since they had other plans, or what?
Yeah, I will tell you that, but I want to ask the commission to please let me use the bathroom.
Yes, you're welcome. It's right in there, the presidential bathroom area there.